Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode here on my Minecraft Survival Let's Play world, where in the previous episode we built this huge mountain over here, and to be honest, I'm actually really happy with how it turned out, and we actually have to probably take a step back to really appreciate the huge scale of this build. And surprisingly, I managed to do this in a very short period of time, and honestly, it looks amazing. Now, all we have to do is just continue this all the way around, and this will be one complete mountain. But nonetheless, I'm super happy with how this looks. And honestly, I'm super happy to be starting this project as well, because having a nice huge mountain range in this area will be an absolutely amazing feature. And when you fly around this whole area over here, it'll be super cool just to see the mountains render in. And I think that's probably one of the distinguishing features that I'm trying to create in this area of my Minecraft survival world. However, in today's video, I am not going to be working on the mountain, unfortunately. I want to take a small break from just working and building stuff once again, and I want to do something different. In fact, I've mentioned this in a previous episode that I wanted to start work on. And in today's video, we're actually going to start off in the Nether, because in today's video, I want to start making another hub. And also, just before we do that, I still haven't really cleared up my mess from working at this site over here. So as you can see, my materials are still kind of low on durability. As you can see, my elytra here, the flappers are very low, including flappers 1 and flappers 2. And a bunch of my actual tools themselves are really low on durability. So I'm going to go ahead, head over to the gold farm and go ahead and repair these tools. And of course, before we do that, I also need to get way more food and some rockets and pack up all my material left in here. And here we are in the Nether now, and you can see I've gathered a few materials. I've also got some more food so that we don't run out of hunger over here. And I've also got a few other things like a bow and arrow, just so that we can actually activate the gold farm. And for those of you that don't actually watch my series, this is my huge gold farm. I'm not too sure which episode I built it in, but it's super productive. All you have to do is just sit in the center part over here and turn it on. So if I just quickly go ahead and load up my crossbow and just shoot at one of these pigmen like this. There we go. I've got all of them. Stand down here. It's gonna get a little laggy because there's so many pigmen gonna die from the entity coming. But I'm gonna get plenty of XP, and I'm gonna be able to level up and heal my tools because they've got mending on them. And if we continue down here, we've also got a kind of storage system which sorts the gold from the other items. Anyway, without further ado though, I think I should just AFK here and replenish my tools health. I'll see you guys all after I do this. And would you look at that, within a matter of seconds, all my tools and items over here are repaired, and I'm also getting loads of XP, but I need to quickly turn off this spot here because it's going to get way too laggy and I'm just going to get an excess of too many materials. So just to do that, I'm going to leave the vicinity here and we can go ahead and start work on the nether hub that I'm planning to do in today's episode. But just before we do that, I need to grab plenty more materials before we begin. And when it comes to the build palette of the nether hub itself, I want to use nethery blocks to symbolize the nether, of course. So I'm thinking about using basalt, magma, netherrack, soul sand, and even nether colored blocks. So maybe, some redstone blocks just to make it look cooler, to symbolize the red for the netherrack. And I'm thinking about also using some red nether bricks and normal weather bricks just to add that little bricky feel into it as well. And of course, you're going to need a lot more basic materials like cobblestone and those things, because I'm also thinking about including a piston bolt in it. And that way we can travel between two destinations extremely fast in a small amount of time. And for us to make a piston bolt, we of course need plenty of wood, and thankfully we already have a tree farm, but we also need lots of cobble as well. So I'm going to go ahead, head over to the industrial district where we can build a very small cobblestone farm design by Ilmango. So if we just fly in this direction over here and do some navigation, hopefully we'll find the portal to my industrial district. And wow, I made that a very tight gap over there. But anyway, if we just continue flying around this direction over here, hopefully the portal is still there. There we go. And if we just head on through here, we should arrive at my industrial district. And here we are at my industrial district, and wow, does it feel super weird to come back here because it's been a while since I've seen this place, even though it's only 2 episodes ago. But anyway, let's go ahead and cut straight to the chase and build the cobblestone farm that I was talking about, which will be super helpful in building the nether hub. So I'm gonna go ahead and start constructing that over here. But just before we do that, I think it'd be a really cool idea to make this industrial district area into a proper base, like a central hub sort of, where we can have some corridors and sorting systems around here to make it super functional, as well as a huge sorting system to store all my goods and all of that stuff. So I can always come back to the industrial district for my needs, and so that I can always come back here for actual living purposes and work in between some building projects. And to start that off in today's episode, I think it'd be really cool to add a little portal room down there to connect to the Nether Hub. But of course, just before we do that, I think let's go ahead and build the cobblestone farm. So I'm just going to go ahead, plop down my redstone materials and get to work. Alright, and just like that, we've already made the entire cobble farm. And I have to say, this farm is actually really effective if we actually just hop on up. You can see that we've got a little on switch just over here. If you just go past all these redstone components and we turn this on, we've got some cobblestone down underneath here, underneath this obsidian, this cobblestone right there, and you can see it's just been blown up and it drops down into this little storage system that I set up, and already within, I'd say this is probably less than 20 minutes. This is probably about 10 minutes worth of AFKing, and I've already got tons and tons of cobblestone. We're probably going to need a lot more though to make all the pistons going to be used in the piston bolt, but I can easily get loads of cobblestone within an hour or two of AFKing. I also need to get lots of, logs to make the pistons as well. So I'm also going to AFK at this tree farm. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is AFK for an hour or two at both of these farms here. I'm not going to run them continuously because this one's automatic and that one's manual. So I could go ahead and operate this one while this one is automatically running, but I don't want them to break because they do rely on TNT dupers. And considering my past with TNT dupers, I'm not great with handling them, and lots of my machines and farms do break a lot. So I'm just gonna go ahead and run them one at a time, and I'm just gonna kind of create maybe a little AFK chamber down here. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is just make a little room. Let's see if this works. I'm gonna try and uh let's try this. So what I'm gonna do is make like a little room down here. Let's go ahead and put the sand back in just like that, and then place a block there, grab another sand, and yeah, I got some logs on me here. So let's go ahead and turn some of these logs into some planks. And do we have a crafting table yet? And let's just go ahead and grab some doors. And if we just place a door down just like that and some sand on top of it, I think we get like a nice kind of AFK room. Yep, we got a nice kind of spot to AFK in that's enclosed so no mobs can get to us. And I think that's a good place to start our AFKing. So I'm just going to go ahead quickly AFK out these farms for an hour or two, try and get as many materials as possible. Also going to AFK out this tree farm over here to grab some logs as well, make some pistons, then we can go over into the nether and start working on the shell of the nether hub. And I'll see you guys straight after I've finished all the AFKing here and gathering all my materials. And just like that, I've already finished my duties over here at the farming district, or the industrial district as you may call it, and I've got tons upon tons of materials already. So I'm going to go ahead and enter the nether now, where we can hopefully start working on the shell of the nether hub. So let's just quickly pop into the nether here, and here we are on top of this crimson tree here in the nether biome. And we're kind of in the middle of nowhere right now. That's probably the purpose of the nether up here, and you can see there's lots of guys attacking me. So we kind of need to make this place a little safer. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is jump into a quick time lapse over here. I'm clearing out some space, making a new portal for where the portal room is going to go in the industrial district, and connect it up to a portal down over there near my village or near the mountain range. So I hope you guys are going to enjoy this time lapse of me building the nether hub. See you all after this one. Alrighty, so I hope you guys enjoyed that huge time lapse that we just did where we built the entire nether hub, and I'm super happy with how it turned out. But if you actually paid attention to the time lapse, we didn't build the nether hub here like I said we would do beforehand, and that's because we actually moved the nether portal in the overworld to a different location. So if we actually just fly around here and make this corner up here, you might have noticed a little structure down here, and that's right, here is the new nether hub, and there's some valleys around here. So I'm just going to quickly go into the overworld to avoid these guys for a second, and then we can come in while after I've dealt with these little guys over here. I'm just gonna kill that hoglin there, and I don't think there's any more baddies around here anymore. But there we go. You can see with the nether hub design I've gone for, and I'm really happy with how this looks. Now, of course, I need to do some spawn proofing around here because as you saw, there's some hoglins and some piglins spawning around here. So I'm gonna put in some buttons and some pressure plates so that those guys don't spawn. But I'm really happy with how it looks. So over here, you've got this huge wall back here with some cool looking windows. You can actually look out in this direction where we've got a bunch of hoglins and piglins because we're in a crimson forest at the moment, and we've got a very nice view of a bastion that we might raid in a future episode. Then we've also got this large nether portal over here which we can access into the overworld where my industrial district is located, and then you've got some archways on these sides over here, and this entire thing is supposed to look like a train station if you guys haven't noticed already. And these are like train tracks, and basically it's going to be like a tunnel which leads to another train station, and there's going to be loads and loads of train stations, and I think that's a super cool idea. Then of course you've got another track over here with this kind of divider in between with some super cool looking pillars, and I've actually designed this entire thing myself, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. So if you just move on to this train track over here, you may have noticed we've got a huge train actually just coming through here, and it's just about to park up once it like rolls along slightly further, and it's actually a freight train. If you guys know much about trains, I don't know a lot about trains, but I'm actually very happy with how this train turned out, and I just kind of went along looking at a real life picture of a freight train, and I'm very happy with it. I kind of just threw some blocks into this, and it turned out really nicely. And just to add to that nether aesthetic, I've also added in a wither skeleton skull there, and I think that looks really cool. And then you can see it's coming out of one of those archways there, and then it continues along this way where you've got the tunnel which will lead on to another train station design in that direction over there. And when it comes to this wall, of course, it's the exact same thing that we did over there, except there's no nether portal in that middle window, and we don't really have much of a view over here, so I might make my own kind of little habitat location over here, put some, like custom kind of nether foresty design. I don't know, but I think that looked pretty cool. And I'm really happy with how this turned out. We've also got some seats here. We've got some trapdoors with smoke coming out for aesthetics. I've also even textured this, put some coal in, some cracked anvils to look like the reels are kind of cracked, some andesite, and I'm very happy with how this looks. We've also put some lanterns around here so that this is slightly brighter than the actual nether outside here. And I've also added in some signs so you can actually name the train stations and things like that. But let me know what you guys think about this train station. I'm very happy with how it turned out. And of course, we've got a little bit of storage back here, which is just a bunch of materials which are mined out. And I have to say, this took a lot of mining out to destroy this whole area for this train station to sit in. But I'm super happy with how it turned out, and hopefully you guys are too. And unfortunately, though, because this episode is going to get a little too long if we continue building these train stations, and I don't have a lot of time left, we cannot, of course, continue these segments over here, these tunnels, all the way to the next station, because as you see on this side, I've kind of stopped the tunnel here, but you've got some blue ice, and you've got some railings, and that's because you can just ride a boat down here, and you'll go super fast. And I actually did some research, and I was talking about making a piston boat here, but it turns out boats on blue ice are actually more than twice as fast as piston bolts, and they're also two-directional and way cheaper. So I just opted for this blue ice line over here rather than doing the expensive piston bolt. So you guys probably understand why I did that. And then of course we're going to repeat what we did over here on this side as well, going to a different train station. And I think this whole idea is really cool, having like another kind of train station. And then of course where I have my spawn portal, I want to make like a huge grand terminal. and I think that's going to make this entire train station area look super cool. Now with all of that mentioned and done, let's head over into the overworld to the industrial portal so we can go ahead and make a nice portal room. And here is the brand new Nether portal, and as you may have noticed, now it's actually in the desert and way closer to the industrial district itself and a lot closer to the farms, so that we can easily get into the Nether and into the industrial district with so much more ease and less effort and without wasting, more rockets flying between where we had our previous Nether portal behind this hill over here, and we can't actually see it from here. But I think this Nether portal location is much better because it makes it much more accessible to the industrial district. However, the Nether portal itself is sort of bland and it kind of looks a bit weird just by itself. So I think we should go ahead and make another portal room design. And I'm just going to go ahead and quickly build that off camera, kind of experiment and improvise and see what I come up with. And here is the nether pearl design that I came up with, and I think that looks really, really cool. Now, if you just pick up these pieces of sand that I may have left here accidentally, but I think that is a very cool looking nether pearl room, and it's kind of open, so I can easily run in and out into the industrial district and into the nether with ease, so that I don't have to keep opening doors, closing them behind me, and things like that. And I was also originally going to go for like a factory kind of design because of course we're in like an industrial area because there's so many farms. But I think it'd be very cool to kind of embrace this whole desert kind of feel over here. So I went with like an Arabian kind of just normal desert feel, and I think that looks really, really cool. If you got some sandstone here, and I just basically made up a shape, and I think that looks very nice. I put in some like indents into the building that looks really cool. We've got this kind of railing, like this kind of sandstone railing up here. I think that looks really cool. And then I mixed in some sandstone into the normal sand just to make kind of like a very subtle kind of path design around here, and just dotted in some cactuses and some dead bushes and just a couple details here and there just to make it look really, really cool. And I think because we got this kind of Arabian style, we could actually dress up this whole industrial district over here as kind of like an Arabian village, put some houses over these, and I think that looked really, really cool. Of course, though, that's going to be a project for another time because I don't think we have enough time in today's video or in the coming videos to do all of that. But I think maybe in 10 episodes time or maybe even 5 episodes time, I think it'd be really cool to start a project like that, having some like an Arabian town or like just a desert feel around here or like, one of those kind of cool designs. And I think that looked really cool where we kind of just embrace the sandstone feel, maybe in some spruce items, things like that. And I think that will be really cool. However, that is going to be the end of today's episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode where we of course built this nether portal room that I just talked about. And if we just pop into the nether over here and hopefully there's no bad guys waiting for us, we also made this huge terminal over here, this train station terminal, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!